Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. We are here today with something kind of on the fancy side, if you will. We are going to make some homemade lobster risotto. Somewhat homemade. The lobster's already cooked and pre-cut, but we're going to make some risotto today, throw in some lobster tail, and we're also going to have some stuffed scallops on the side. So we're going to start with dicing up some onions that we will saute and then put in the rice kind of closer to when it's done cooking. Get our arborio cooked, and then just throw in the lobster. Bake the scallops. Anyway, let's get started with the onions. I have a little bit of an onion left over just from a previous recipe or use. So we're going to use about this half of an onion here. We're going to take it. I dice kind of unconventionally, I think, compared to other people. But I slice my onion first. Then I take it and I dice it from there. It's what works for me, but you can dice however you prefer. And we'll do that with the rest here. This should be a perfect amount too. All right, and we're gonna go right over to the stove, and the rest of this is basically gonna be over at the stove. Please ignore our trash can on the floor, our trash bag. Our trash can's outside with our trash for pickup. So we're gonna preheat our pan to about a medium heat. So we're gonna give it a second here, and then we'll be right back. So like I said, we're gonna start with some olive oil. You could also use butter, I guess, too. I'm just gonna use olive oil. Just put a little bit in the pan there. A little bit as in kind of a lot, actually. Then we're going to throw in our diced onions and cook them for just a couple of minutes so that they sweat down and get a little bit of a caramelization to them. So we're going to toss them in the oil here to make sure they're all covered. I used way too much oil, but that's okay. Like I said, we're just going to cook them down for maybe 3 to 5 minutes or so until they're sweat out a little bit. Then we're going to put them in a bowl and keep them off to the side. Now, historically, when I've made risotto, I typically do an onion mixture here, but I also throw in mushroom. And then I'll throw in a bit of dry white wine. Usually a Chardonnay is what I would do. But we're not doing mushrooms today, and I'm not going to put the wine in the onions today. We're just going to throw it right into the risotto, kind of towards the end of cooking. It just gives a little extra flavor, makes it a little more rich. But today we're going to do it in the risotto, not in the onions. All right, this should be good enough. I don't want to burn them or anything. They're sweat out a good little bit translucent, so that'll be perfect. So for now, we're going to put them off to a side in a little bowl here. So there's a little bit of oil left in here, but we are going to add in our rice and some butter. So let me turn around here and get the rice. According to the package here, it is 1/4 cup per serving. So I am going to go ahead and just measure out half a cup since it's just Ben and I. And we'll do a little more. So closer to probably 3/4 cups here. Spread it out in your pan like so. Then you're going to add a hefty amount of butter. We're going to kind of brown it and get it toasted with plenty of butter here. There we go. So you kind of toast it in the butter for just a minute here. You're going to start to see it turn a slight brown. You don't want to burn it, but you want to just toast it lightly. Then we're going to move on to our next step. So give this just a second here, and we'll be right back. You know what I forgot to do? Let's throw garlic in with the onion. So I don't know how we're going to do that. But we have to have garlic in here. So you can see it's starting to get a little toasty there. There's a couple kind of brown pieces of rice here. So I'll give it one more sit for just a second, and then we move on to the next part. We'll give this one final toss, and this should be perfect. So now, moving on to our next step, chicken broth. If you guys can see that there. So the way that you cook arborio rice is a bit tricky and a bit tedious. So you cover the pan with chicken broth. You want it kind of on a medium heat. I think I just put it a little too high there. So you're going to put chicken broth. It's going to cook down. The rice is going to absorb it. Some of it is going to kind of evaporate. Then once that liquid's gone, you put more in. And then once that liquid's gone, you put more in. And you just keep going until the rice is fully cooked. So we're just gonna get going here. We'll do this a couple times. It will honestly take 30 to 45 minutes or so if you're doing it properly. So you just have to be very patient and watch it. I think I have it a little too hot here because it's already evaporated. So we're gonna go ahead and put more chicken broth in. And I did see if you'd rather use a seafood broth or a mixture of chicken and seafood, that would work well as well. It would definitely give you a deeper fish flavor. But I think we're just gonna use chicken. We'll be just fine with chicken here. And then again, we'll bring that to a simmer, cook it down. For our lobster, you can obviously use real lobster tails. That would be kind of the better way to go about it. You can even make your lobster stock that way. But we just have some frozen Langostino lobster. So it's fully cooked and peeled already. And then it does say thaw in a bowl of cold water for 10 minutes and drain well. Then we're just going to go ahead and throw it right into the risotto. So we're going to keep this in the freezer for just a little bit until we're closer to this being done. Then we'll thaw them in the water and then throw them in our risotto. So once again, it's evaporated and we're going to throw in more chicken stock. I don't think I'm going to tell you guys every time I do it. Sorry, Ben is playing video games back there. I don't think I'm going to tell you every time I do this, but we'll just check in once or twice. And then, like I said, you just do this until it's cooked. So after 20, 30 minutes or so of this, I start testing the rice to see how it is cooked. You can usually feel when it's undercooked, kind of just with your spatula here. So you'll know once that it gets somewhat close. We do have our stuffed scallops here, and it does say to bake at 450 for 25 minutes. So we're going to get the oven preheated because that should match up almost perfectly with the time the risotto's finished and when these are done. So let's preheat the oven to 450. There we are. We'll give it just a minute to bring up temperature, and then we'll put them on a pan and throw them in. I guess I'll give you guys an update. This is coming along, but it's probably about halfway cooked. So we're doing well. You can see how much it's expanded here. And we're just continuing that same process. So once it's out of liquid, keep filling it with liquid again, let it go away, and keep going. This became really cooked really fast. So it still needs a couple more tries, but we're going to throw in the scallops real quick to get those started. And then we'll come back and start doing the lobster for the risotto. And those have 25 minutes on them. All right, I think we still need maybe one or two more splashes of our broth here to finish cooking. But let me get out the lobster. So again, according to the package, it says to thaw in cold water in a bowl. So we're just going to put it here in this bowl and fill it with cold water, and we will thaw those out. I don't know how much to do. How much are we going to eat? It says it has 3 servings in here. Is it crazy to do all of it? We will be loaded with vitamin D and cholesterol that way. It says it's 2.5 servings. We'll just do it all. Now let's get some cold water in it. Then I'm just going to set this to the side for now. We'll give it a couple minutes here. Like I said, it takes 10 according to the package. And then we will go ahead and strain it, and we'll be ready to throw it into our risotto. I'm actually going to turn this off for now. We're going to take it off the heat. It's pretty much ready. We'll finish it off, though, with all the seasonings and the onion and garlic in just a minute once everything else kind of cooks a little bit and the lobster thaws. We have returned. We've got about 10 minutes left on the scallop, so this should be about perfect timing. We're going to turn this back on. I'm going to do a little more chicken broth, kind of just to moisten it back up and get it nice and warm again. And then we got to get to seasoning here. So let me come over to my seasonings to the side. We're just going to hit it with, we're not going to do salt yet. We're going to test it one more time because chicken broth is already salty. Just do some pepper here. We're also going to go ahead and throw in our garlic. So this should have gone in with the onions, and I totally forgot. We're just going to do a little bit of our chopped garlic here. Let's finish off the jar. So we're going to mix this up. Get the pepper everywhere. Get the garlic everywhere. Then we'll throw in our onions as well. Let me go strain out the lobster real quick. That's still in the water. I don't think I was recording, but I threw the onions back in here as well and did a little more pepper. So we're going to turn around here to our lobster. It is still a tad on the frozen side, so it will have to thaw just a tad. So we're going to go ahead. We're just going to throw it all right in the bowl or the pan. We'll give it a minute or two here. Heat up, incorporate, warm up, and kind of bring its flavor to the risotto. So we're going to keep it on a low. I'm going to throw in just a little more chicken broth. Then once this is heated up and we are done, we're going to throw in just a little bit of Parmesan to finish it off. But you won't do that until it's basically ready to serve. I almost forgot the wine, so it's time to do a splash of wine as well. And the alcohol will cook off. We'll give it just a couple minutes here to heat up, and it will cook off so you're not actually drinking straight alcohol. But that'll add a deep flavor to the risotto. And oh my gosh, it's so good. I also have some dried chives here that I'm going to go ahead and throw in now, just because they're dried. That way they can kind of hydrate a little bit in any of the wine and the chicken broth that hasn't evaporated yet. So we'll mix that in too, and we are about done. You could also use parsley. You could make it Italian seasoned. I've seen you could do it kind of a lemon butter style. There's numerous ways you can take a risotto. We are going to take out our scallops real quick. And these are almost done, but I typically finish them off with a little bit of butter. Grab my butter. Just do a little bit like that. I guess you could finish it off with lemon as well if you wanted a little bit of lemon juice. Get a little more on this big one. And let's throw it back in for another probably 4 or 5 minutes here. All right, the risotto is just about ready. You'll still need another second to kind of burn off any of that extra liquid, but we're going to throw in our Parmesan and then taste it just to make sure everything is lining up. So I'm going to do a hefty handful here. We have pre-shredded, but you could also shred it yourself, buy some grated, some shredded, whatever you'd like. We'll kind of incorporate that in there. And we are going to do just a little, not too much, but a little splash of lemon in here. You could have also, I guess, served a lobster on the side if you wanted to, but I figured putting it in would give it a little bit of depth and flavor. Sometimes I throw peas in my risotto. Typically, that's what I do. But there's, again, numerous ways that you could make this risotto. So we're going to give this just a second here while the scallops finish up. Then we will go ahead and serve it all and give it a try. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little taste test here. So I grabbed a piece of lobster and then some of the risotto. So we'll just take it as one bite. That's good. I think this is my first time making risotto in a while. So I think I got some things kind of backwards and mixed things up. So I should have done the wine probably with the onions and the garlic. I didn't put the garlic and the onions at all. It is really rich, which it should be. We did a good job with the chicken broth and doing that slow. It almost needs more wine. I think typically I use a Chardonnay, but we only had Pinot Grigio on hand, so I used that. But I almost could have used more. And I even put a splash off camera, and you guys didn't even see it. But I think it's because then the lobster comes in, and you get some of that fishy flavor. It's really good, though. It's creamy. It's delicious. It almost needs more Parmesan. I don't know. This is my first time cooking it in a while. It's delicious, but I feel like it's just missing something. I couldn't tell you what, but it's just missing something. I will still devour it. I do think, I was debating if we kind of toss the lobster in a separate pan with some butter, kind of do like a quick butter poach to heat it up before putting it in the risotto. So maybe we do that next time if we try it again. The lobster pieces do taste good, so it's good to know if we need to use those in the future for anything. You could have put the lobster on top of the risotto and done it separate. Like, there's so many ways we could have done this. And this is the way we tried it today. And I'm not disappointed in it. I'm very excited to eat it with the scallops as well. So we had a nice little dinner here. Okay, I'm hot. It's hot in this kitchen now. I gotta go. But thank you all for cooking some lobster risotto with us today. I'm glad we tried it. It was exciting. It was something kind of different than what we normally make. So we'll see what else we make in the future. Now we have arborio rice, so we can make risotto a handful of times and do it some different ways. Thank you all for cooking with us today. I hope you'll stick around and experience more.